All right, Brandon, we're here to talk about another movie, but the first question I want to kick this off with is if we both died, would we abandon Ashley and Renata and seek out the bromance eternity?
Here's the thing. Here's the thing. In this context, I think you and I wouldn't wait for each other. I don't know if we'd wait for our partners, but I feel like in this realm, we would end up somehow going to the Cineplex AMC 4000 eternity. And it wouldn't be until, like, I don't know, our 19th movie of that day or week or whatever that we're like, oh, Shay Angus from the Screen Level Fair podcast. Friend of the podcast, how's it going? And you're like, brother, we've known each other our whole lives. What the fuck are you on about? But yeah,
Well,
I
no,
do
I
think
think I want you to tee up because start percolating on this because that's going to be my closing question is what
what
eternities do we
eternity.
think we would craft out for ourselves?
I had the
Because
same
yes,
thought.
we are here to discuss the Monday surprise premiere movie that we both saw at Cineplex, which ended up being Eternity. I was completely surprised because I was convinced. I wonder if this was a placeholder thing because it changed later, and I swore to God that that was it. But when I bought the ticket, the placeholder runtime was hour 52, and I went and looked at the Now You See Me 3, Now You Don't, and it was an hour 52. And I'm like, okay, it's Now You See Me, which was also distributed here by Cineplex Pictures. So I'm like, oh, of course it would be their own movie. So like I was convinced that that's what we were going to be seeing. And so I knew nothing about this movie at all that we ended up seeing, which was Eternity. When the A24 logo popped up,
Yeah,
I'm like, what the and
my
so
whole sold out theater. So for the mystery movie, I guess it draws out a good crowd, and so it was a packed theater. And I think everybody thought this because even my girlfriend Renata, friend of the podcast, was like, she's like on the way out, she's like, let's manifest it not being Now You See Me 3. Like, think of any other movie you want to see. And I was like, oh, I'm sorry you don't want to see it, but like, I think I have to see it for the pod, you know. So we go, and sure enough, when the A24 logo dialed in on the screen, the whole audience went, oh, well, like they all knew they were in for a treat because I think everybody was expecting Now You See Me
that's
3, Now
awesome.
You 3 Me.
Yeah.
And luckily, it wasn't. It was a much more charming contemporary
Yeah.
rom com with a fun setting, fun premise, and great acting. So,
Yeah, I think that's really sums it up. Like I said, I only knew I had Googled the movie because I had heard someone else speculate that it could be that, and all I saw was the title rom-com, and I saw the that Elizabeth Olsen and Miles Teller were in it. That was all I knew. I immediately unplugged. Like I was like, if that's what it is, great. I don't. But I even was like, yeah, no, it's not. It definitely. There's no way it's not this.
dude,
So then when it
you're gonna
popped up, I
be.
was like, oh shit, dude, let's
I
go.
feel like you're so jealous of me, the ignorant moviegoer, because I had so little idea what this was. When the title pops up saying Eternity, I was like, oh. And then you see these old people driving in the car talking back and forth. I'm like, oh my God, no, it's a movie about old people. Oh, I got screwed. And I was so concerned. And then luckily, the events of the movie take place. And now we're following Miles Teller. Miles freaking Teller is like,
Yeah.
dude, let's go. And then Elizabeth Olsen, I'm like, let's go. Like, I was so jazzed that the movie was what it was because
Yeah.
the initial A24 surprise was met with a very, oh no, it's a movie about old people.
Yeah.
Pulled right back up. And I was like, okay. And I locked in for the movie. I resonated with a lot of it. I found my way in really well. I would say on our Heartometer, I loved it. I definitely found this was like
Okay.
a smarter, more funny, more interesting, or at least unique rom com.
Yeah.
I have some streaming rom coms to rhyme off as things you don't want to watch, but this was definitely super worth the price of admission. Like for a mystery
Yeah.
movie, no idea what I was seeing. It was like half price ticket, a crowd full of I'd say nearly like 100 dialed in, enjoyable theater goers. I couldn't have asked for a better Monday night with my girlfriend than watching this movie in a theater. So,
Yeah.
um,
Well,
I might
you
be
saw it with
biased.
your
It's pretty good.
girlfriend. I saw
Yeah.
it with Kelsey. So
uh,
Kelsey and I
our
had a
male
nice
friend
romantic,
Kelsey.
yeah, our
Yeah.
nice romantic boys' night out. But yeah, we had a nice dinner beforehand, and then we went over to see this movie. Um, yeah, I pretty much feel the same way. I'm a really like on this. I didn't quite love it particularly. We'll get into it towards the end. It just didn't wrap up in a way that I
Mm,
loved. And there's a point, again, I'm going to be incredibly vague even when I say it. There's a point that the movie hit its emotional peak for me much earlier than the ending. And so for me, like, I just kind of felt like I kind of fell into the end, as opposed to like, like the emotional build just wasn't quite there. But I still really liked this movie. Like you said, again, conceptually, like, I won't even say anything about the setup other than what we've joked about at the start in the non-spoiler portion here. Like, it was a super fascinating ride in. Like, I didn't understand, because I'm like, wait, I thought this was with these actors, and then the events of the movie start happening. You're like, oh shit, okay. So then you saw where it was going. And or I say saw where it was going, you saw what was happening. But the way it unfolds is like brilliant, and I just loved it. And I envy my buddy Sam. Comes with me to a ton of movies, and he's
yeah.
one of my favorite people to ask, because I'll be like, hey man, you want to go see 3 movies this weekend? He'll be like, yep. And he has no idea what we're seeing, no clue, just trust me to go. And I'll sometimes tell him if he wants to know or whatever, but otherwise he goes in sight unseen. So basically every time he sees a movie, it's a Monday surprise premiere for him. But for me, this was the first time I really got to see a movie, and I can't even think the last time I was just totally kind of surprised by what a movie was and didn't know what I was going to see. So, and yeah, you as the chronic trailer watcher with all of your stuff, you see these things all the time. So it's really hard just for people like us that are interested, and our kind of algorithms on platforms and everything is always so movie geared. So it's really hard for us to be surprised by something. So I really thought this was a perfect lead off. But yes, definitely by the time you're seeing this episode, this movie should be out or coming out. Go see this without question. Bring a date if you have it, but bring your buddy if you got it. Like, we were both like really impressed with it, and both had a great time with it. So yeah,
on
easy endorsement from me on Eternity.
on that note, you had the pleasure of seeing this movie that's a rom-com that has a lot to do with themes of marriage with a married guy. What was
Mhm.
Kelsey's takeaway on this? Did he have any ball and chain jokes?
No, he immediately was like, "Oh, I think Nikki would love this." So, like, I don't
Oh
know if
yeah.
when this comes out, I think that they'll be maybe going, or knowing Nikki, she's not the biggest theater, go movie watcher. I wouldn't even say theater goer, not the biggest movie watcher, but I do think that this will be something they watch again and together. So, and I felt the same way. Like, I definitely want to take Ashley to see it when it is actually released. I thought there was, yeah, like, I thought just conceptually, I thought it was a really interesting idea. And then
Yeah.
the way it unfolds, like I said, there was a great point in this movie that, like, really, like, I was like
I know the
almost to
scene
my
you're talking
detriment
about.
as a film goer,
I
where
cried.
I was almost bummed out that I was sitting there like during this great emotional moment, and I'm like, this is great writing. Like,
Yeah.
I hated that that's how I was reacting, but I
You're
was
like, the
still getting
screenwriter really cooked with
emotional.
this one.
But that's literally what I was doing. I was like, wow, the writing, this is such a perfect moment.
Yeah.
And like, so
It's
the
so
fact
well
that
set up.
yeah,
Yeah, it's so well
and
set up.
so yeah, I thought it was
Yeah.
brilliant. I thought it was brilliant. So, and that, like I said, that if the movie, not that it could have ended there, I understand why it didn't, but like, that was the peak of the moment of the movie for me. So then I just kind of felt like, and it goes on a little bit after that. So then I just kind of felt like I was once again chasing this high that I knew came earlier.
Yeah.
And there was still a good rise at the end, but it just didn't match that moment for me. So then I just kind of was like, ugh, if this just ended a little more with that punch, then it would have been
Yeah.
an absolute like love from my end. But just like I said, I really liked it. Um, yeah, and like I said, that emotional beat's there. It's just that it's almost in the wrong part for it for me to make it one that I was like absolutely in love with. But
It kind of comes at the part I always complain about. It's that second act low that for a lot of
yeah.
movies is like a shitty motivational speech, and it is a motivational speech that makes you feel a little shitty, but it is well done. I won't spoil it, but on that exact note of just like yeah, it hits all the right beats, and I know what you mean with the gut punch ending because that middle moment definitely. But yeah, we'll get to the spoilers, but spoiler free. I would say to summarize the movie because I feel like we got so like in love right away. It's a movie about life and death and marriage and the afterlife, and the afterlife is presented in like a really fun, kind of weird, heady way that
Hmm.
will spoil in a moment. But I really liked it, and I even say like because you know what I'm talking about. This is a movie that I feel like would have been made by a big Hollywood studio 10 years ago, back when rom-coms and comedies were big. And it would have been like Vince Vaughn in Till Death Do Us Part. And it would have been some sort of really like corny,
They
like,
would have brought Ryan Reynolds and Sandra
yeah,
Bullock
yeah.
back
Dude,
for
Ryan
this one.
Reynolds would have been the helper guy, like the kind of smarmy, kind of flamboyant one,
Yeah.
and he'd been like, "Okay, I guess you'll enjoy the afterlife alone then." Like he would have been.
Yeah.
This would have been a far worse movie 10 years ago with the
Yeah.
same cool premise, just done in that big studio way. This is definitely like a better A24 version of that, and yeah, it
Yeah.
worked out for the best. But so I guess I should get into it because I want to talk about it. But
Yeah.
yeah, spoiler.
Well, hold on before you jump in.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, let's just say, go see this movie.
Yeah, support
We
it.
really mean this. This is one that we're both very eager to endorse. Don't listen if you haven't seen it yet, because I promise you this is an experience worth, having yourself. So please, 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 if you haven't seen it yet, stop listening now and go see it, because you won't. Again, I think this is a great crowd pleaser, like just a fun movie. I feel very confident in saying that you will have a good time with this movie.
And honestly too, it's a big recommend from Shea because when Shea says a rom com had good heart and relationship and character moments,
Oh,
it's a big deal.
rom-coms? Rom-coms are my guilty pleasure, but I will clarify, this is not a guilty pleasure
Yeah,
recommendation.
it's a
This is
proud
a good
pleasure.
movie. This is a good movie. It's not like a cheesy rom-com. Like, honestly, I even classifying it as a rom-com does not paint at all to me the picture that you should really have of the
It's kind
movie,
of like a
because it's
dramedy with romance
yes,
involved.
it's
Yeah.
more of that, like, it's about relationships and all of that, but it's not a rom-com in the sense that that word kind of carries the connotations of. But yeah, it is a good movie. This isn't like a guilty pleasure kind of recommendation. It's not by any means like the most, serious. It's not serious. It is not super deep, but it goes really into the love in a way that I found was just like, again, really interesting. It's a unique way in, and also just like, yeah, like, just you feel good, and it's not like cheesy in the comic, like, I ran as she was going up in the air balloon and I jumped in the air balloon to profess my love. Like,
Yeah.
it's not that kind of energy. To its credit, I think,
It's
for
almost
the
a
better.
meditation on that energy. Like it is
Yeah.
the two sides
Yeah.
of romance and love and what love really means. And that I know sounds corny and lame, but I swear this movie handles it well. And what I was getting at with Shay's usually got like a heart of stone when talking about love on screen because it's either too hammy or whatever. So for him to buy in when I'm usually only buying in because love is bad, like I typically call it the La La Land effect when I buy in because it's like a great love drama, but it fails, but it's beautiful. Like that's when I get in this case, like it had a bit of everything for everybody. And yeah, without further ado, I guess like
Yeah. Dive into
spoiler
the
talk.
spoilers.
We start off with two old people driving to a gender reveal party. And, Larry's my favorite character. He's the old grumpy man set in his ways, and his wife's trying to be fun and spontaneous. And they go to the party, and Larry, who loves pretzels, again, a man after my own heart, he's just eating all these pretzels.
He's got them in
He
a cup in the
in a
dash
cup,
of his car. Yeah.
also like me, everything's on the dashboard, snacks included. So yeah, he eventually, the last thing he sees before he dies, which is actually thematically perfect but a great bit, is a photo of his wife and her first husband who died in a war, and she remarried quickly after. And it's like a small joke, but he sees that as he's choking on a pretzel, wakes up on a subway train, but he wakes up as young, handsome 35-year-old Miles Teller. And that's when I was like, oh, this isn't a drama about old people. Thank God. And sure enough, Miles Teller gets off the subway to find out he's in this weird, ethereal, I would call it like a representation of limbo before you go to the afterlife.
Yeah.
And it's basically a super nice hotel lobby with a bunch of kiosks. There's no real sun or lighting. Everything's like a Hollywood backdrop. And again, it's got that very good A24 vibe to it. All really worked for me creatively. This was filmed in Canada too, I believe.
You
And
said A24 vibe. The thing it made me think of was that Loki TV show.
oh
Like
yeah, a little bit,
the
eh?
place there was, I can't remember what the hell, the
Yeah,
TVA or whatever
the
they called it,
TVA.
but it
Well,
made
very
me think
similar.
of that when I was watching it.
Yeah, because they have like the CSA or something, or like AF. They have another acronym for people. They're like your concierge that greets you at the
How do
travel
we
station
forget
train
that?
port.
It's such like a gag at the start of the movie. Your
Your
RPM or whatever will explain
yeah,
it to you or something.
basically
Yeah.
your afterlife consultant will meet you. So you show up in the lobby of this train station. They call it the Junction, which is the neighborhood in Toronto I live in. So I was like, that's cool. But yeah, they show up and like they're all confused because they've just died. You see some people walking out in like hospital gowns. You see some people walking out like how they died. But preferably you kind of end up there in the form you were most happy. So for Larry, he's like young Miles Teller. You just assume like, yeah, when you die, you don't want to die as an old person. And there are a few people and they get into that and it's well written for those. And
Yeah.
there's children even. And that's a great bit, right? When they're like, a little kid accosts him at the beach and hits him with a volleyball. And he's just like, get out of your fucking head. And he's like screaming. And the wife's like, oh, he's just a kid. He's like, I don't know. He could be 35 and died and went back to being a 12-year-old. And then he's like,
Yeah.
no, I died in a car crash when I was 9. And he's like, oh, well, at least it's quick and painless. No. And it's just like a great little dark comedy. I suffered for a long time before he passed. Yeah. So yeah, it's super clever. And like, but the boilerplate premise is this kind of unique ethereal world where you have like 7 days in like a hotel lobby with a bunch of kiosks and people are trying to sell you on an afterlife to go to. And there's an eternity. Yes, an eternity. And there's all these people that live and work in this world, this limbo, who don't really want to move on and pick a lane. So they end up being like bartenders or salespeople for other eternities just to kind of hang out a little longer. They don't want to commit to a lifetime, an eternity, no matter how good
More
it is.
than a lifetime.
Yeah, and endless. Yeah, so and that's like kind of the best part of this movie. Some of the best vignettes are exactly that. Like you just see kiosks and setups and commercials for like, I think the really big one was like there's a person who's like, yeah, don't you love 1930s Germany but hated the Nazis? Come to 1930s Germany now with less Nazis. And it's just like, who's picking that? And they talk about discontinued eternities that are like, like I think one of them was like Dolly Parton Land or something like that. Like,
there was so many gags of like posters and things around.
I wanted more. I was really into it.
Oh yeah, me too. There was
they could have done so many more.
No Men Allowed eternity, and they had to make
now
like
sold out
30 of those because so many women are opting for the.
Yeah, it was like a condo where it's like stage 4 and now in development. It's like at capacity or something. And you're like, damn.
There was like a capitalist eternity or whatever.
Oh yeah, 80s capitalism.
You can relive that. So there was a lot of gags there that I thought were pretty
The thing
funny.
about some of these eternities too is like it's almost like in a Faustian bargain kind of way. Like this movie is clever where it's like, do you really want an eternity like living in the mountains where it's a little cold? Do you really want or the beach where it's always crowded? Like there's a little bit of a cool dynamic there. And my girlfriend even said that about specifically the 80s capitalist eternity. She was like, I bet the hell in that is everybody there is equally as rich as you. So they're kind of Patrick Bateman like, where they're like, shit, I'm now comparing business cards and infinite money in a world where money doesn't matter anymore. And there's no poor people to like mock or feel better than. So you become very dulled. So I like they never expressly say these things, but I feel like that's the cool part of the movie is committing to that bit. And then the commitment of the characters is now almost like eternity is kind of a hell. And they even say like, what about my loved ones? Were they really looking down on me? Can I go see them right now? And it's like, you can, but do you want to spend eternity with your parents in like the classic pearly gate heaven where you're walking around in togas and like the clouds, Like, no, you probably don't want to spend eternity with your parents.
By the way, they had like, there was like Catholic eternity. Like,
they
had like all the different religious,
she's day drinking in the pearly gate classic. And the guy's like, oh man, we have more people that want to see the booth. And she's like, hold on, I need to make my time here. But yeah, I derailed on that. I love the premise and but yeah.
The setup is great. I think like like that was became like I was like again I'm like once you clock that, then you're like, okay, so
It's fun.
then
It's
like yeah,
fun.
like conceptually too, yeah, like I've found myself like per like thinking that myself, like looking at some of the ones that were like provided and all of that, like just selfishly I was just like, yeah, because you think like, oh, this would be great, and then it's just shortfall. And I think one of the interesting things that the movie does is that you're not allowed, like once you are in, you're in. And so then like the idea you can't switch eternities and stuff. So I thought that was really interesting because as this movie goes, and ultimately like the thrust of the movie kind of comes through about her having to choose between the two of them. They let them go to the eternities, and so when he gets to the beach eternity, it's like a beach vacation resort where there's hundreds of other people all over the place running around. And it's like, oh yeah, you'd think like, oh, private island beach, and maybe that
Yeah.
eternity exists or whatever, but this is just like, yeah, it's the crowded thing, it's the mountain resort one, so we at least get to see a couple of them, which is cool. It's not just conceptually just like the posters and we have to glean into it. But yeah, I thought that was really kind of an interesting like concept too as well, just to be like, yeah, it's short-sighted, like if you're
Yeah.
just too eager for one over the other, right?
Because you only get a week there, like rent free in the
Yeah,
hotel to pick, and then you have to pick a job and stay in limbo kind of thing. So I do like that. And they do set up the show people trying to get out of their eternity. And that's like when the ultimate thing is they elude you, you escape your
yeah,
eternity because most people probably find it like hell after a while. And, they get sent into the void, which is like just like an empty room forever. So, I got so dialed in on the premise, I forgot to mention the actual plot. So Larry and his wife, Larry dies. His wife was alluded into having cancer, so he knew she was coming any day now. So he waits, and as he's about to finally move on because he realizes she might not be dying, she arrives. She passes from cancer. She shows up, and he's there. He finds her on the train station. One of those, like, again, movie moments. Like I was gonna say, it's like those corny
she was
movie
coming up as he was
at the
going
elevator,
down.
and
Yeah,
then yeah, and he stops at nothing to find her, and he finds her, and it's a beautiful moment until which is very clearly set up. And if you were an eagle-eyed viewer and you saw the character who was the husband in the war photo, he's also the bartender that Larry met earlier. He shows up, and more people are impressed because her first husband, turns out, waited in that limbo for 67 years to meet to finally reunite with his wife in the afterlife. And it's beautiful and moving. And then that's where like the real plot picks up, is like,
yeah.
is it Elizabeth Olsen? She has to choose between Miles Teller as Larry, her kind of
Who's she
like
gonna spend eternity with?
her husband of 67 years, or this dreamboat guy who they literally say is Mr. Perfect, like who died too young, so she never got to live that life. And it's a call of, do you go with what you know and who's really tested and proven to be your partner, or do you go with the never was, the passion? And and that sparked a lot of great conversation with my girlfriend and I leaving. Like, we both
Mhm.
agreed you would go with the one you married for 67 years, because that's, I think some people would be like, 67 years, I'm out. I'm heading to the kinky, sex dungeon, eternity. And also too, like, if that guy died at like 22 or 25, whatever, he's been living as a bartender in the afterlife for so long that it's like, what emotional maturity and relationship goals, and like, how would that guy have developed beyond that? So I think, like,
Yeah,
to my girlfriend and I, it was obvious, like, you got to pick Larry. I know he's Larry, but the beautiful thing with that was, yeah, it was so funny how, the romantic side was so undercut by the unromantic side, and Larry's like,
yeah,
yeah, just do some squats with me. Yeah, those knees feel good, don't they?
yeah.
Everybody laughed. That's a joke for young and old folk alike. Like, it was, yeah, it's super good. So yeah, she has to choose, and through this process, we kind of see more of the world and understand the dynamics better. And they have really funny, kind of almost corny. In a worse movie, I'd say it's corny or convenient, but they have, which makes sense for like heaven or the afterlife. They have those flashback booths, so you pay to get like a movie ticket. You go in and
Yeah,
you see like vignettes of them acting out different memories of their lives,
yeah.
and again, the way they use it
The
for the characters
backdrops
as
are like
well.
drawn
They're
pretty
drawn,
much.
yeah,
Like we're on the
yeah,
pier, and it's like a pier is drawn
yeah.
behind them.
It's
Yeah,
so funny. And yeah, so it's just like, yeah, again, from like a concept, just so solid, from acting so solid, and the premise and the story super solid. And I think I follow you almost to a T with this, which is a rare change of pace, because I do agree that second act, like, where she's got to make a choice. And originally her choice is going to be, I'm picking neither. It's too
Yeah.
stressful. I think we just, death do us part. Like, that's it. And then Larry, who's kind of a bumbling oaf throughout most of the movie. It's Miles Teller playing like a New York old man, basically, which is a lot of fun for me.
And he looks
He,
like the old, like, like kind of like the curly
yeah,
hair, a little longer on the sideburns. Like he just looks like kind of a dude,
a dude
like
from
I
like the
thought.
70s. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So
And
I thought
then,
that was really like a good contrast between
yeah,
his like sort of unromantic, we've like been
yeah.
together. It's just like everything is the way it is, and then it's like the dreamboat hunk
And
taller, kind of thing.
my girlfriend and I always talk about this, where it's like casting actors now for period pieces is tough. Like, I'm working on a period piece TV show right now, and we joke about like people having iPhone face, like they just look younger and weirder and more. But I feel like they cast people who are traditionally relatively handsome, like they're Hollywood actors, but
Uh-huh.
they work for that kind of like dreamboat 60s people that they come back to in the afterlife. They don't look like, they took the old man and then they just slapped Miles Teller in a unfitting wardrobe or whatever. Like, they actually did a really good job
Yeah, yeah,
translating both visual aesthetics. Cause even Elizabeth Olsen's, wardrobe and stuff, like she's got like these like rocket 1960s mom outfits. They are like,
yeah,
for what would be hot then. And she pulls it off. Like, I think it well there. But yeah, Larry realizes this is like to me, the climax. I think you the same. They always talk about the body you get is when you were most happy, and it's really
yeah,
sentimental when you find out the reasoning. For the soldier, it's obviously when he died, because he was happily in love, and he died moments later, like shipping out that month, that year. But for Larry, he explicitly says it's after they had their second kid, and he realized like life was good. This is the best it will ever
yeah,
get, and that's why he's 35-year-old Miles Teller. And you're like, oh, that's really sweet. There's a side character. She's a friend of Larry from the neighborhood, and she dies, and you find her in the afterlife, and she's like a 70-year-old woman. She's like
yeah.
overweight.
She
She's
gets there and
miserable.
she's like, "Oh,
And
this
they're
is
like,
exactly what you look like
yeah,
when we left you."
yeah. They're like, why this? And she's like, well, I've actually spent my whole life as an in the closet lesbian. And when my husband went away for like that time, I had a crazy lesbian cruise experience. Then when he came back, I kind of went back in the closet, and this is the happiest I ever got. And I was like, well, yeah, fun. Again, it's like good. They explain it. It's a bit, but it makes sense. And it gives you the diversity of choice in that kind of like creative realm of the afterlife. But anyways, the big thing is Larry, the whole movie is kind of like, oh, you look great. And he can't put his finger on it. You just think he's being this guy that's like, because there's a lot of jokes about that. He's like, hey, I'm young again. My dick works. Like, so you
Yeah,
think he's
yeah,
just gassing up his hot young wife again. And people always say she dated down, or he dated up. So,
yeah,
but the big clue is her hair was different. And he couldn't figure it out until like that last moment where he realizes that her hair was the way she styled it before she met Larry, when she was dating the first guy. So
yeah,
he realizes it. He runs, he finds her. They do that almost like Casablanca moment where it's on a train station, like, and he
yeah,
pulls her aside to be like, I know you're about to choose neither of us, but I just realized your hair. You never did it that way with me, so you were happiest with him. That's what that means. Go to him. And like, it was so selfless and gut wrenching. Like, I
yeah.
cried at that. I teared up. I was like,
Yeah, it
damn it,
was
Larry. Too little, too
because the
late.
execution, like I didn't clock that until he said it. He has this
Yeah.
realization, and then like he just like, I have to go, and he runs off. And I love that it came off the scene of the two of them. Like there was a scene earlier, like even where they bonded, like that night when
Yeah. The
she's
two
like, I'm taking
husbands.
the night to figure it out, and the two of them like have their night to bond and whatnot. And like I thought that was great. And then they're both kind of despairing a little bit together on this. And because yeah, she's like, I can't do it, I can't decide, and is going with her friend to go to like the fake Paris world or
Oh,
whatever.
dude.
And
I,
and so so when she's like she's on the train, and so he runs over and has this realization, and it did not clock to me what he was going to say. And he's like, and so when the scene starts, like this is where I think the build was perfect. He runs and he pulls her off, she comes down, and like you're expecting, and I was expecting, to the cliche of the genre where he has some profound realization and, no, you should come with me and blah blah blah.
I thought it was
Like
going to end
there's
right there too. I was
what,
like,
right, he
oh no, they're
finds
about to
his
crash.
connector.
Yeah.
Yeah, he finds you. That's what you assume, right? You're just kind of bringing your own baggage to the genre with it. And then when he realizes, he's like, your hair, you never had your hair like this when we were together. And it was like, oh fuck.
Yeah.
And then he's like, you were happiest when you were with him, and like it's okay, like I don't want you to deprive yourself of this and whatever. And so he tells her to go pick the eternity with him in the mountains and stuff. And so
Because
like
he
that was
genuinely
the
loves her.
emotional,
Like,
yeah,
yeah.
and that was like the emotional, he's like, I don't want you to go alone, like that's when you were like pursue that. And it was a gut puncher. And I remember, like, again, because you're in this sold out theater, and like I said, I'm getting emotional, but at the same time, I'm just like, holy fuck, this is great writing. Like, it was
Yeah.
so clever. It wasn't some bit that was like obviously set up and they make a
No.
big, like, it was very subtle. And I wonder, like, I'm excited to see it again because, like, we had seen the cutaways at that point. So I wondered, like, I wanted to look for her hair. Like, was it even noticeable in those cutaways? Because if it was, again, like, it's not in your face. It
I
was
think
just
you
that
would have
he has
noticed
this
it
realization
if you saw that
going
sepia
through
tone
it.
photo. I think it was in the sepia tone photo,
Yeah.
I think. But again, the sepia
Yeah,
tone, I
she
think it,
had the long
it
hair in the at the very beginning. I do remember that. But like, yeah, it just didn't clock to me that she didn't have it out because we never see that except in those cutaways when they're together in the little tunnel of memories or whatever
yeah.
the hell they called it. But yeah, so like that was such an impactful moment and like heartbreaking for him. And the thing that I like about the twist that's sort of set up is like the when he first gets there and goes to the bar and he has a drink, the guy working the bar is the old husband and they don't know who each other are. And then when she ultimately, when the rest of the movie happens and she realizes, no, I'm not happy, this isn't like everything I wanted it to be, I made a mistake. Even again, the thing that I liked about that was kind of the again, the writing on this was really impressive that way because it wasn't just like, this isn't what I thought it would be and it's not as fun. It's like, no, it's the realization that like actual love is more than just the initial high point phase when everything's great and life is fantastic and the whole, like, all the future is the potential of the relationship, right? Like that's when everything is potential, as opposed to 65 years of marriage or whatever, when you've gone through the potential, you've experienced a whole life together. So that was really like her way, the way she vocalized it. I thought was really, again, it got close to a high point. Like it was a good moment. Her explanation made good sense. But for me, it was just one of these points where it was like, like I just wish that, like, it couldn't match basically the energy level of the earlier sequence where Miles Teller tells her to leave. So then you're just like, ah, man, like you're just really kind of beating yourself up over it. And so when she makes the call, and this is where the movie stumbled, it's not even just she makes the decision, that emotional moment's okay, but then the like chase and the getting out of, like, she leaves the eternity and then she's getting chased for leaving her eternity. They somehow make it in. Like the ending didn't come together for me in a way that I really liked. And again, not like, it was like it became kind of more just like cliched and simple. Like I never really felt like she was at tremendous risk of leaving, like, or like after she
Yeah.
left, that it
They
was
built
being
up the
chased
risk so
down.
much, and there
Yeah.
was
And
moments where
so
you
like,
think that it's going to go south, but like, yeah, I think the rest of it was so well thought out. I too was worried how they were going to stick the landing because I really truly thought it was going to be that climax. And then when it wasn't, and like you said, the whole chase scene, and like, it's not super clear either. Like, again, this is like the negative side of the A24 vibes comment I was making, was like when, when she just like, goes through the theater where it replays all the stuff. I just found it kind of like weird where it's like she's coming out of like the oven again. It felt like a low key, like you said, where the dimension hop, they come out in the wrong place, and it was
yeah.
cool. But I think like the rest of it felt really thought out, and that felt like let's add something kind of neat at the end. And I don't think it
Yeah.
fully needed it, because
No.
I truly did like so much of it. I honestly was kind of almost expecting the ending to end on a gag, of like they went to a discontinued universe, and then it's like, all right, babe, we're in 1930s Germany, but anywhere with you is all I need to be. And like, I would have almost
Yeah,
given it like a half star higher. Like, if I gave this a four, that would have been like the 4 or 5 ending for me. Like,
yeah,
I don't think I could have got to a five, very easily. Like, I'm not a
mhm,
screenwriter, but like, yeah, I definitely really, really, really enjoyed a lot of it. But like you said, I think from that climax, that selfless act of love, like,
yeah.
and everybody in the theater too was like,
Oh,
she
dude,
failed the
there
test.
was
That's the
audible
test.
like there were
Yeah, like,
audible people, like, I was sitting there and
women,
I'm, like,
dude,
having
I was
my
pissed.
emotional bit, and then I heard, like, so many people again, this is what I love about the movies, is that, like, we're all having this experience together independently, but I could just hear in the crowd just, like, people they were sniffling, they were crying, like, I could hear all of that going on, and it just, like, again, made me, like, I think pulled me out again to the point where I'm just looking at it all, and I'm just like, damn, bro, this is movie making, this is screenwriting, this is great shit right here. And so, like, yeah, it just was such a phenomenal moment that they didn't even come close to recreating or matching in terms of the energy at the very end. And I just kind of was like, yeah, like, I just on a movie like this, I just want it to end at such a good moment, and even the fact that, like, narratively, how they just go into seemingly, like, normal world eternity or whatever, like,
Yeah.
suburban life eternity, like, we don't know definitively, but they're just, like, walking down to, like, it looks like, again, your typical normal ass little suburb or whatever. It's kinda like, oh, okay. So, like, not that it's more exciting, but they literally just they get together, they walk into it, and then the credits start. So it's just like, oh, like, I just needed some more oomph to really level this up to the next kind of degree for me.
Yeah, I definitely 100% agree with that, because yeah, when they walked off to the eternity they do choose, it wasn't a discontinued world that was ironic and funny. And it also wasn't like, I kind of expected them to end up in the void. And that would be like the joke that the void's like, almost like where you came from, which is seemingly where they went back to, like their Oakdale, Oak Ridge neighborhood.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was also like, what eternity do you think they went to? Do you think it was the sunset one? The sun was setting in that neighborhood, or like, do you like, doesn't
Well, there
matter, but
was like a normal, like, I can't remember what the heck it was called, but there was some eternity that we go past that is like normal life eternity or whatever. And it was like, that's what it looked like to me. But again, all we
yeah,
get is this street. Like, we can see houses. They look like they're just in like a suburb. So that was kind of my read on it. And one of the things I realized too, we've gotten this far in without talking about her. And I thought she was fucking great in this movie, and I loved her in the last movie I saw her in, which was Divine Joy Randolph. And that's the thing about the cast in this movie is like really solid, particularly the main three. And yeah, Divine Joy Randolph was like a lights out revelation for me in The Holdovers, which she won the Oscar for. And she's really fun in this. Like, I just kind of like this kind of like slack, like, not, it's not a stoner energy, but it's like the slacker energy that she brings almost, to the fact that she's one of the agents that are supposed to help people pick their eternities and whatnot, and she shows up like super late when Larry arrives, and then she's like half-ass helping get him going and everything to like pick his eternity, and they're trying to help each other like win her over and all of that. So, like, she was great as like a little side character, like foil. I thought was really, really fun.
yeah, I really thought she was gonna be a bit character. Like, I think like when you see
Yeah.
a lot of modern like Hollywood movies and stuff, she definitely seems kind of like somebody that they would put in as like, oh, here's your like kind of like like even the character she bounces off of, her potential love interest. It's like they definitely seem like bits, like here's the flamboyant,
Yeah.
maybe token gay character, here's the loud, like funny, no bullshit black character, black queen. And they ended up being like a lot more fleshed out and like really enjoyable, and like their dynamics added so much to the movie. Like, it helped flesh out individual characters, their characters together. I really dug her specifically, and again, the guy that plays the other agent, that kind of like rivalry that they have, like, yeah, it
Mhm.
really really worked for me in a lot of the right ways. Yeah, there's like not a bad thing I can talk about in this movie, honestly. Like I just think it delivers so well and expertly at so many moments. And this is the hard thing. Like we talk about good movies when they just don't quite stick the landing, and that's the only time.
Yeah.
And I don't think the landing is like a crash landing. You know, I don't think
No.
it definitely sticks something. But yeah, it's not like as punchy as I thought it would be. You know, or
Yeah.
like I almost pictured a world where because Larry, like part of the karma and the irony and the book ending of this is like Larry says he would have waited forever, but he never would have known because, but he was truly going to leave and just say, come find me. Um, but when she chooses the other life with the guy, he takes his job as the bartender and
Yeah.
assumedly would have waited eternity to figure something else out. And that was sweet. Like it all really works. But I did kind of picture like Larry goes to the Paris world thinking, she'll regroup there or something like that if she ever gets
Yeah.
out. I would have kind of wanted to see the Paris world, and I almost thought that was the ironic twist. Apparently, there's like a Japanese hotline for Japanese tourists that go to Paris, and because Paris is not like it is in the movies, like it's a lot dirtier, and it's like the crime rates aren't great, and it's like grungy, that they would go to like fake Paris world, and that was also like an element there. And it's like, oh my god, this is wicked expensive, and there's so many tourists, and people keep trying to scam me on the street, like. Um,
The authentic Paris experience.
Yeah, so like I definitely don't think like there's a bad moment in the movie. It's just a matter of wanting like a tiny bit more of a punch. But again, I think that's like
Yeah.
the staple of a good movie is you leave wanting more, wanting to see
Yeah.
more, had
Well,
more.
yeah, yeah, I get what you mean with that. I think like to me it's like I just wanted this to feel more as satisfying at the end as it did throughout the rest of it. And I think that's really kind of the gap there. Like there were little things like if like again we're talking so much praise about some of the screenwriting elements, like there were little things that I found that like kind of again in no real significant way detracted from the experience, but it was like even when he's trying to convince her to stay with him, right? When they get both they have the deal to go to each eternity and do like a trial run so she can help pick or whatever. The fact that he picks the beach world, which was his preference, not hers. Like they make a point of saying that.
Yeah,
And I thought like so there was little moments like that where I'm like, oh, like I felt like that maybe should have been acknowledged a little better, or there should have been some level of kind of awareness, I guess, that I just would have wanted more credence paid to that. Because when they do try to manifest conflict, it's again not big deals, but just kind of stumbles in a way like, they're like, how can we manifest conflict? So again, this idea where he was leaving when she was getting there, like he couldn't wait more than this. Like I think he waited an extra day or something. So he waited like 8 days or something like that, and then he was going to the beach eternity or whatever, and so that was kind of a conflict. Well, he waited 65 years or whatever it was, and you couldn't even wait more than 8 days for her to make it. And so that was something they brought up too, that I was like, okay, like, yes, but I felt like they didn't really do a lot with that. And then it just felt like, it was just a point we needed to make some sort of conflict for people to latch onto. And so I just thought there was like little tiny bits there that could have been also maybe tried to clean up, but like throughout, like really it's the whole duration from the first second acts that really I had no problem. Like I was loving the movie, and then really the ending just kind of it just never reached the same heights the rest of the movie did. And yeah, in a movie like that, especially when you feel so kind of emotional midway through or a little more than midway through, um for it not to have that oomph when it ends,
yeah,
it's just not that it's deflating you. Like I just like was like, oh, like I wanted it to just end better. I guess
yeah.
really.
I totally get that. I do think like to your criticism, the first thing I think he says to her is like, what was her name? Was it Joan? Joni? What was her name again?
Like her character name? I don't even
Yeah,
remember. I remember
yeah,
Larry just because I thought that was a funny,
Larry.
like, bumbling guy name, yeah. And they,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
make a point of it in the movie, too, where they're like
Yeah, well, whatever. I think
they
it was
say it like
Joan or
that.
Joni. He was like, "Oh,
Yeah.
Joni." He was like, "Joni, there's a mountain afterlife. We can go spend it the way you want it in the mountains together. Because now it's not going to be so cold because
Yeah,
It's
Joan.
it's the eternity. Yeah, so he's like, yeah, Joan, let's go to the mountains. It's not going to be so cold because you're not old anymore. You're going to love it. Like, so he actually does clock that and say like, I know what you want. Let's do what you want. Um, but I just think he lost that heads or tails flip. So the guy who doesn't know her that well because he didn't spend a life with her just kind of did what she wanted, which was the mountains. So I do think
Mhm.
Larry actually there was a line in a moment where he was like, "Let's go to the mountains together forever," and then because he won the luck of the draw, he got to go to where she wanted first. And that's
Mhm.
almost kind of like the punishment for that guy. He's in someone else's afterlife. Like she's ruined his whole afterlife, and and the way they handle that's good too. But there was like a moment where that was on the table and expressed. But I
Mhm.
think he chose beach just because that was like the default. Like, yeah, I guess that sounds nice.
Yeah.
And she even says that line at the end too, where she's like, turns out it's still cold. Like, and
Yeah.
that's like studies show that it's like people who complain together and complain about the same people specifically, uh, have a deeper connection, and so
Yeah.
when the guy is like, oh, you really love to complain or you really love hating things or what that, like that line got a lot of good
Mhm.
people in the theater. Like even like Renata, my girlfriend was like, that was actually so funny that she wasn't even aware that, her and Larry share that. With Larry, she's like a ray of sunshine, like compared to him being so
Yeah.
kind of negative and literal. But, maybe she also has learned to love that part of herself without acknowledging it. And so, yeah, it's like, again, it's like ethereal and beautiful the way they talk about like love. And that's so
Yeah.
corny, but I absolutely adored the way they threaded the needle and how the characters worked. Uh, I honestly
Well, in
really,
less capable hands, it is
oh,
corny, right? Like
yeah.
that's really the difference between these is like even the bit where like he helps her at the end. Like in a less good movie, this all feels very eye roll and artificial
Yeah.
and annoying, right?
The
Like
Vince Vaughn
it's like
2005 version that we hypothesized would have been
hey,
like
I'm not gonna accept any Vince Vaughn shit talk in the chat. I love Vince Vaughn and every movie he's in.
the Ryan
Um,
Reynolds 2005
yeah, okay, we
version.
can shit talk that. But yeah, like so like those versions like there is a much worse like version of the same beats, but it's the difference between good execution and bad execution that really sets this movie apart. And I think like that's evident in the kind of final product because like yeah, at no point did I roll my eyes at the movie. I thought it was like sincere and it felt like realistic and kind of grounded, realistic, but like grounded in a believable way that the things they're talking about are like accurate feelings and um like again where it's like you kind of made the joke earlier about like of course classic woman in that moment when he tells her to go with the other guy she doesn't do it but like
Yeah.
there is something like again I like I said for us it's easy to feel that same way but it's like I understood the choice right like I understood this idea that like this was the person you committed to your life to all of the potential of the world was before you and it gets cut short because he dies in well I was going to say the war which is a bit that they do and I
I love
fucking
this bit
died
too.
when they
Oh
did those
yeah.
bits where they're like Korea's not even one of the good wars like and
Yeah.
it was so fucking funny like I belly laughed at that
Even the
one.
time even the time in the mountains, because like I do like that they show the afterlife and stuff like that. There's actually a
Yeah,
second missed opportunity that I want to bring up in this sequence. So it shows Joan and the soldier husband who died, and they go to all these different little like they're enjoying the mountains, skiing,
yeah,
lodging, all that stuff. And the three things in this sequence, they meet a couple and they make good friends with them. And the couple's like, oh yeah, so how'd you die? And he's like, oh, I was in the war. They're like, oh, which one? One or two? And he's like, oh, it was Korea. And then Joni's like, it still count, like it's still a big one. Like
it's a real war it's
she's trying to be a good wife or partner, but also like it undercuts him because he's like clearly embarrassed when people, because he's had to say this a few times in the afterlife, like, oh, I died in the
yeah.
Korean War. Like, oh, sorry, that's not one of the like the good ones. And I do like
Yeah.
how when him and Larry actually bond, they have that bromance. There's a line where he's like, yeah, I know it was Korea. It sucks that that was it. And then he's like, they don't make as many movies about Korea, do they? And he's like, no, but actually, there's a TV show called MASH. You would really like MASH. And that setup when they show Joan and then the soldier husband sitting on the couch staring forward, enjoying the moment. It was a campfire that they were looking into, and she's thinking about
Mhm.
Larry, and he's just enjoying the moment. But I genuinely thought they were gonna like pivot around and show a TV playing MASH, and he was like, this is unbelievable. This is so like no Hawkeye, no way. But
There's
I,
one gag you missed there that they
oh,
also did in
how
the
they died.
montage bit. Yeah, well, when
Yeah,
the one couple's like, "Yeah, we died at a gender,"
reveal party. Yeah,
which was
yeah.
like at
The
the right
premise, the
paying off the
startup.
very
Yeah.
beginning of the bit where they were like,
Larry's like,
"Oh, but he
people
was
die at
on
these
his
things.
way over." Yeah, yeah, yeah. When he's like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, people die at these things," so
Which is
that was
hilarious because
another just little
he
bit that I
dies
got.
at the gender reveal, and then the couple alludes to them dying at the gender reveal, and it's funny because that's like a real world thing that happens to me all the time. Like, I like if you have like an ex partner that says something so obscure or like whatever, and then like 5 years later you're at like a house party or you're hanging out with people, and they're like, "I this crazy," and then you're like, "No way! This is like the second time in my life I'm hearing of it. I'll never forget the first time I heard that stupid thing." And again, I felt like a really funny, real, and like they understood what they were doing so much, and
Yeah,
they called back to things without it being like, remember? It was very like
yeah,
thoughtful, and yeah, when the jokes hit, because I don't think any jokes really missed. Like I was never seeing a
no,
moment where, like even like the obvious ones of like, oh, ball and chain or my dick still works, like stuff like that.
yeah,
It landed. And again, in a less capable movie, you would have just been like, oh, because isn't marriage really hell? Like it really had
yeah.
those opportunities, and it was uh, doing more with it than a lot of worse things. So yeah.
Now I'm ready to put you on the spot because
Oh,
now the real question is, what eternity would you pick, and would you and Renata pick the same eternity?
ooh, that's tough because we don't line up on certain things. I guess. Which for an eternity could be brutal. You know what I mean? Like a prime
Yeah,
example, and this movie deals with that, is like the climate, like
yeah,
I actually, you and her line up on this great. She loves the cold. She enjoys winter as a non-driver, and me as somebody that drives all the time in the city of Toronto, Canada. It's like, oh, when it snows and it's like a blizzard, she's like, this is magical. And I'm like, it's 4 hours to drive 20 kilometers in this fucking city. uh so yeah, I don't know, it's tough. My girlfriend and I did discuss that on the way out based on the one shown in the movie.
yeah.
We were thinking about it, and it's like part of me wishes we saw more of the beach eternity because I would be like, well, if we get like a cool timeshare and the weather's nice and we got TV and a movie theater, like I don't know, probably the beach one with a movie theater. I don't think I could genuinely do the Cineplex eternity we talked about because I think after
Well,
a
certainly if
while,
I'm doing a theater eternity, it ain't going to be the motherfucking
the fucking
Cineplex
Cineplex,
eternity. I'll
yeah,
tell you
dude.
that one.
I go. See, that's the thing too. I went to Landmark Cinemas for the first time in a while, and I forgot how good they have it. Like they got the My Eternity, whatever it is, movie theater,
There's going
whatever.
to be reclining movie chairs, that's for sure.
Reclining movie chairs, big, ample seating, big, but it's gonna have the Coca-Cola remix machine for unlimited refills. So, uh, the refill eternity, whatever capacity that is, like again, beach. I'm thinking like a resort kind of thing. Just a fountain drink that like I'm not talking like unlimited pop bottles or cans on tap. I'm talking like you go up to a fountain, and you fill it up unlimitedly and get to relax. That's probably it. I want to let the screenwriter of this movie find me and tell me what that is. But yeah, anything with a refill machine, preferably a Coca-Cola remix with a Diet Coke cherry vanilla, would get my vote pretty quickly. What about you? I feel like you've thought of it probably a little better than I have. I would
Well,
try to
see,
do it with my girlfriend. I would just have to have a Coca-Cola remix and movie theaters somewhere, but preferably warm.
yeah, I don't know because my hang up, well, there's two things. One is like we are not 65 years into either of our
Yeah.
relationships. So there's a lot that is a different factor. So what I like, Ashley and I, like, I was priming her because she didn't see it with me, but I was asking her questions vaguely, but like I'm excited to go see this with her so we can actually dig into it. But I was trying to say like, because of the concepts of like, even like, oh, if something happened, like like you would remarry, right, and like all these kinds of things. So there's all those interesting bits that way. But the thing that killed me was that she loves museums. I fucking hate almost all like art museums, all this kind of
I
shit,
know
right?
exactly where you're
And so
going.
one of the guys in the movie's trying to escape the fucking museum eternity. And I was in my head, I was like, oh my God, she would adore that eternity. And I would be the guy that would try to escape it. I would choose the void over the museum
As he's
eternity.
getting like beat down, he's just like, It's so boring. The
I
museum
just
eternity
keep
is so
looking at the same
boring.
fucking paintings. Like he was losing his shit. So like
Mm.
that's really right now my answer. And maybe we'll do a follow-up someday down the line where I come back and have this conversation with her to give more. But I think that's really our problem, is that like a life eternity would be like the suburban general thing would be fine, but like that's not what either of us would love. Like, like we like, sure, like hanging out's nice and everything, but it's like, no, like again, like in my head, it's like, well, the movie theater eternity, but like, well, fuck, even that you'd go crazy in, and then
Yeah.
like it's you need something more fully flushed out than, like you
Yeah.
said, like, and that's why I think maybe like a life eternity like that would make more sense, because you can simulate life, right? And go through and do different things and see people and whatever. So in my head, that was maybe like, if you go too specific, like I love the movie theater. I saw 4 movies in a row on Friday. If that was every day of my life,
Well,
and
picture
not every day of
this
my life, if that was my every day from now until the
forever.
end of time,
Yeah.
you know
Well,
how many times I'd have to watch Marvel slop in the movie theater eternity, dude? I'd
yeah.
break.
Well,
Give me
that'd be
the
the
void.
thing. Yeah, that would be the thing too. You would also wonder, to pivot out, I would actually even say, does the movie theater eternity update the movies as they come out in our ethereal time now? You know what I mean? Because if you're
You
stuck in
have to.
there and all you have is like the greatest movies of all time, and then everything up to 2025, that might suck. But then also, in theory, could you also get 2090 movies? So that's a
Yeah,
thought.
we're getting real meta. Like, what is time in the eternity
Yeah.
world? Do we get every movie that's ever been made and ever will be made? How does that work? But yeah, certainly, if you had to specify, I would certainly want the new, like the now playing eternity, where I can see the
Now
current
play.
movies. I'd rather watch the current crop than only be able to rewatch the classics.
I definitely think the other like logic thing. I wonder what the rules are specifically in some ways here. Thinking about like the porn theater in Montreal. Uh, Because here's my thing: they
Oh,
sell that
Brandon.
sex debauchery world, but in theory, every world's a sex debauchery world, is it not? Like
Yeah.
you got to be banging on the mountains, banging on the beach. Like, what are the rules? Like, is indecent exposure in the eternity like beach like that? Is that
Oh,
is that
there's
going to
also
lead
got to
to?
be some like underbelly. Like there's got to be like dark eternities where like
Oh
they flirt
yeah,
with like
like heroin
some a
eternity.
weird concept, but there's got to be some darker ones out there too. But one of the ones that I was thinking of conceptually, though, of the ones they show, the one that, and this is 100% honest, that's why I had to circle it back to the very beginning of this episode. Bromance eternity would be cool as fuck.
Oh, for
Going
sure.
out every day. Like, think about those nights when you've come out here and we've had them all over. When we've been in
Yeah, yeah,
Ottawa,
yeah,
back home here in Montreal, hopefully up in Toronto soon. Like, every time to relive those weeks that we like look back on
yeah.
years later, we're like, dude, that was such a great fucking time. And that's just the eternity we live in.
Oh yeah. Well, I think that'd be awesome because, like, I think like this is a study where they say, I think it's people, but men specifically. If you have a friend in your life for more than 7 years, there is like a 99% chance they don't exit your life. Like, not to go on my manosphere route again, but like you hear women all the time be like, "Oh yeah, Jessica's in my wedding party. We've been friends since like we were 6, and they hate each other." And it's like after the wedding, they never talk. Or it's like, "Oh, my ex best friend." Like I feel like I hear women say that term all the time, and I'm like, I don't really have that. Like I don't have exes with my boys, and if we do, it's because we just live far apart. But every now and then, it's like, oh, and like even you and I, it's like 6 years of really not talking at all. And we pick up and we're like, oh yeah, this is awesome. Let's zoom more. You know what I mean? Like so, I think I think the bromance eternity is actually the right answer for 90% of men. But here's
Yeah.
when it's not, because I think what it would be like, almost like a resort again. You have a movie theater, you have like axe throwing and mini putt just to keep the boys fun. You'd have unlimited
Laser
Xbox,
tag,
laser
axe
tag.
throwing,
Dude, it would be honestly, you're selling me on this. Like, it would just be a like brewery and
sports
fountain refills.
bars.
Dude, there'd be gambling. It'd be the best of all
Yeah.
eternities. Maybe the only kicker would be you would have to like room with the boys, which might because but even then I feel like most guy friends could be
Uh,
good roommates. But
yeah. Well,
here's the
yeah.
kicker. Here's the kicker. There's got to be some sort of feed or like issue to ruin it because it'd be too good. What it would be all the boys who, after 67 years of marriage, regroup and they just go back to that. Like a bunch of puppies gone to a farm upstate to run around and be free. But then they have to have their wives that call once a week to be like, you left me in fake Paris. We were always supposed to go to Paris. And you're like, no, Shay and I just, hit the back nine and, I don't know. But
Well, but see, to me, the
that would
downfall
be a
of
huge
bromance
contention.
eternity, the
Is the
downfall of
wives.
bromance. Well, no, is the other bromances. Like if it, like it's the
Oh,
like think about the crowded
oh,
beach, right? Like the sports bar would be
yeah,
cool, but if it's like everybody having their own main character energies, right?
yeah.
Like it's
Well,
it's not
I also
the
feel like
like thinking of
too,
the guys that'd be loud and annoying and all of that, like.
yeah. Well, in
It's
the
cool if they're
pro,
your friends, but fuck the
yeah.
rest of the people that are having those same
And I feel like,
experiences.
in like a very movie, climactic irony kind of way, uh, it'd be funny you go there with like one or two of your boys, but then like the social butterfly of your group meets another group of boys that are also sick, and then you start feeling the pull away, and you're like, dude, I got ghosted by my boy in the afterlife for
Yeah.
like, it's like you'd be hanging out, and then you'd be like, yo, Shay, you meet Chet? He drove a Tacoma, bro. That's sick. We were just talking about Tacomas, and you're like, is that a truck? Like, you're like, yeah, it's like,
Yeah, you
there's no
guys will
cars
start talking
here.
about toolboxes and shit, and I'll
Yeah.
just bromance with somebody else.
Yeah, or just like you ever install a light fixture with your Makita drill? Pff, like it's just back and forth, and you're like, what a knuckleheaded combo. And then yeah, but I think that bit is you would basically create, and then like the whole 7 year thing for boys is like you make a guy friend for 7 years, they're there for life. When you have the afterlife, it's pretty easy to rack up 7 years with like 100 dudes at your resort or
Yeah.
whatever. So it might get unruly. Like, just think of like the
Yeah.
vendor cleaning staff level for that kind of world. I think like a video game server, it would crash. It would be too good. It would be too demanded. That's honestly, I would say they owe it to have that afterlife if they have a women only, no men one, because this would be that. It'd be like the boys club, no
Yeah.
women, not very acceptable in today's age, but it would be that. It would be like
Yeah.
super chill. And I'm sure like not every boy is like the most obnoxious. It would have to have like a library. I don't know. Like, but
Some
yeah.
boys like the bromance of the library, dude. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So, dude, that's actually sick. I'm so jazzed about that. I'm actually just thinking about ending it now so I can find out for us. That's awesome. I
Yeah,
want to,
well, don't find out for us, bro, because they won't let you leave me a note to find.
yeah, we gotta get the subscribers
Oh.
up before I do that. if we
Well,
if we hit 1 million next year, guys, I'm ending it.
speaking of ending it, that's a wrap on our episode of the eternity episode.
It's
No,
called
I
Eternity.
think yeah, I know. That's why I said the eternity episode. I screwed it up earlier. I almost corrected you when we recorded last week for the keeper. Well, it's keeper, and I almost was
I
like,
said
bro, it's
keeper.
the keeper. Yeah, you did. You were right. But yes, no. If you get the chance to go see these Monday surprise premieres, they announced this was the first one. My assumption is they're doing. I think I heard like every 3 months or something like that, but I assume it'll be based on audience demand. This was a great way to see movies. The kind of people that buy these tickets are movie enthusiasts. You get them early. You're
They're in
not
for
going
the
to get a
love of the
lot of people
game
that just
just to see
show
a
up
movie.
that on a Monday randomly to just the mystery movie. Like these are people that bought their tickets early when they got the email. They're interested,
They sell it
and
quick.
yeah, they sell out fast. So like, make sure if you see that you pounce on it, because it's such fun. Like it was $9, and this is like the philosophy I bring to like how I see movies too. Is that just watch things like like maybe you don't know, maybe it could be like, but even again, now you see me, I fucking hated that movie, the third one of the worst experiences I've had, like worst movies I've sat through. But even me and my buddy Elias, we were chuckling, like I was eye rolling and laughing at some of these like bits. So at them, not with them, to be clear. But like even then, it's like, and you know what? Maybe there's a timeline where that's actually super campy and fun, and I enjoyed it, right? So that's my thing: is take a chance. And these Monday premieres, the buy-in is low. Like I said, it's a discounted ticket price. and you're with a group of people that are all there for the love of the game. So we don't really have anything specific to rail on about audience behavior. See the movies, go more often, and see them with people that love seeing movies.
And see them with people you love.